Hello, everybody, and welcome to my Ascension Messages, where my higher self connects to the Pleiadians, the CYANIANS, Mother Earth, elementals, and humanity's consciousness. Please be aware that as I channel, I can go deeper and deeper into these connections as I go along. I'm an intuitive counselor, a reader, and I do one-on-one readings. My link is down below. My website is codestoanewreality.com, and there's heaps of juicy inspirational messages and channel messages about these times from my team. So if you want to go take a look at that, you might have to join in to go see the actual messages, but there's just literal oodles, like hundreds and hundreds of messages there. Yeah, so today I'm just going to channel through some messages about these moments in time, the energies that are relevant at the moment, what we need to hear, all that sort of thing. Also, if you do hear any noises, they're building a house right next door. So sorry about that in advance. Okay, let's get into these channel messages. I was sitting here waiting for the time to go by. And I started to get this real, I have these messages written up aside, but I started to get this real pull into such a major frequency that's hitting or bombarding us at the moment. It's going to pull those that are only seeking outside themselves for validation, as we used to do in the past, those that haven't done the shadow work, those that are yearning for somebody to tell them how good they are, it's going to pull all of that out of them, and to the point where they might actually look like they're going a little crazy, and you could actually trip up over people that are just constantly trying to get and grasp for attention. And that's because they're not hearing the call to go within themselves and find their own stability within themselves. And so you might see around the world, even within, those that are in charge of that sort of thing, you might see them do stupid things. We have seen that to a point, but even worse, because what happens when somebody is grasping outside of themselves for something and then they're met with nothing, they could end up doing even more foolish, and to try to get or gain attention. And they don't even see that they're doing it, because what they're feeling within themselves is, well, I still have this hole, this lack within myself that I cannot fill. Nobody else has filled it. So I have to scream louder. I have to do more stupid. I have to go a little crazy here. And they constantly will do that because they're not willing to see that the whole has to be validated by themselves first. And so with that, as the ones that have done the work and looked within themselves, it might be that they come into your reality a little bit, but just see them as from an observational point of view. Don't get entangled in their story. Don't, because the more that you try to help them, the more that they are going to really push their energy over to try to grasp it out of you. And if you're already vulnerable within your own standing of figuring out that you're just moved into a new frequency for yourself, it could end up that you get sucked back in. If even for a while, it would put your mission on hold, or it'll put what you really desire on hold while you're trying to fix somebody else's issues that can only be fixed by themselves. It can only be fixed by them looking within. Now, I'm not talking about not helping people that need food and need clothes and all that sort of stuff and need, some sort of joy in their life and all of that. I'm talking about the ones that are really going a little nuts here. There's a point where they didn't learn the lesson when we went into lockdown, kind of speak, when we actually went into physical lockdown and we all had to go home and had to, in retrospect, look at ourselves, because there was no one else to tell us our worth anymore. We were like pretty much in lockdown, right? And they never learned it then, and then they never learned it in the next trial and the next trial, and so it's going to get worse and worse and worse for them. Eventually, they're telling me there's always a choice, a flip, where they will choose to listen to the seeds that have been planted by you and by others. But then they'll start to realize that those seeds were there planted because everybody's had exactly the same amount of opportunity to get out, to pull themselves out of all of this, to shift up their reality so that they're not grasping outside of themselves for everything, and now starting to look within themselves for their own self-validation, which actually gives them a core essence of being able to support who they are. So in the world at large at the moment, you might see these crazy events happening, and it's going to be so stick out like a sore thumb to those that have done the work, because they'll just go, wow, that's somebody who's really yearning for attention here, because they really don't want to look at who they are and where they're lacking within their own love of their own self. Hey Debbie, hey Yannicka, good to see you early in the morning. Early in the morning here in Australia. Probably not over there. And they wanted to bring that up, almost like a split that's happening, although it's not a split. Like, we talk about a split, and it is that certain that will happen, where those that are just not going to listen, their journey is to go even deeper and darker into themselves and be more controlled by their outside world, because they have no form of control of who they are whatsoever. Their journey will split them further away from others that are enlightened within themselves and starting to know what they want to create and moving towards that and going through the emotions. It's not an easy journey. It really isn't. It hasn't been an easy journey. And also, they're really wanting to say kudos to everyone that's done the work so far, because there's a lot of work that you guys have done that's been behind, in your bedrooms, crying on your own, going out to the forest to do a walk and just feel into whatever it is. And it's a lot of work, and so it's exhausting. So you might literally at this moment, because we have gone through this really huge shift, feel exhausted and almost like everything's been turned upside down in your world, because everything needs to be turned upside down in this world, which has to come from oneself, to then have faith and trust that the universe, that your energy reflected outside by the universe, will bring everything into alignment as to what's going to make your soul and heart and body and mind sing and feel really good about yourself. So as these energies play out, and you might feel really tired because you've gone through all of that emotional purging of, well, where's this coming from? I can't look outside myself. I have to look within. What do I need to do to make my life better? What's the next step? And sometimes that next step is really frightening. And so you pull back and you just go, well, I'll just rest here for a while. And then you're like, okay, show me the next step. And then the next step comes and you tentatively take it and see that whenever you do move towards your own self-empowerment, you might start to see that everything starts to click into place. And then when you get any sort of fears about it, it all starts to look like it's going to crumble down. And then you might go back into yourself again and then feel into, this is what I truly desire. I see it again, or I feel it again. And then it starts to click into place, and you go back and forth like this. And just that in itself, that whole yo-yo feeling of trying to create and move from, the logic or looking outside oneself for all validation into self-validation, and then recognizing that your soul can actually imagine something new and it can actually show up when you don't have a graspy feel of it, like looking for it, but you're just coming from just this empowerment within yourself of becoming that first and aligning as that frequency to that's coming in. It can be exhausting going back and forth like that. And take as much rest as you need through these times. Give yourself as much leeway in the retrospective, if you want to binge watch something for a while, or go have your baths every night instead of every week or something. Like if you really need to pamper yourself more often through this, then do that. It's so long as you're coming from your heart of who you are. Yeah. So give yourself some sort of, because we're first up trying to find our own self support, which means that we can't rely on anyone else to give us that. We also need to give ourselves the self nurturing that comes along with that. And then when you step into your power, and then you'll see others stepping into their power of self-nurturing and understanding who they are, then the dynamics come together of the outer world reflecting that support and coming towards you. And then it's a true connection coming from the base of our hearts for ourselves, and no longer the old paradigm of, I need something. Where is it? You should be giving it to me. Why isn't the universe showing this up for me? That is starting to dissipate, because the more that you do that, you realize it's actually going to give you, it's actually coming from fear, and it's not going to give you what you desire anymore. This is the new energies that are coming in. And if we're going to match them, we have to match them with the same frequency of love that they're coming from. So yeah, then you might see people over there really going off or nuts or crazy or whatever. Try not to get attached to them. And they could be doing the most outlandish things, and you're just like shaking your head going, huh? What? But that's only because you're seeing the work that they haven't done within themselves, and so that they're really trying to get somebody some sort of attention outside themselves without having to look at themselves and who they are and how they feel about who they are. Hey Mona, good to see you. Justin. Yeah. So that was one of the first messages that came up. I actually did write some things out here. There's a couple of things. When we stop trying to fit into a limited society and just back being ourselves, everything will shift into that which we love. One day we are going to see that there are many who have had enough of this limited program that's pulling us into a limited society of fear and judgment. And when that happens, groups of people will pull together to show others that there's another way, carved through love and our authentic self, that gives all and shares, create, and this will in turn create a whole other world that we can live in. So this is where we're going. especially for now too, there is going to be those that are coming up the ranks that are moving from that looking outside themselves and trying to see from within them. And so then you as guides could be planting seeds by the way you speak, what you've been through, that sort of thing. To those, so this is what was written to those who have already moved through the anxiety veil of not wanting to be here anymore because this world sucks. This is your time to shine and teach the next group who have just hit the same wall you did how you got out of it. We are all in this together, helping each other so that more and more of us flip this world upside down till we know the power that truly changes this reality is within each and every one of us. And that we had it all along. We were just taught to seek other people's approval, who are also seeking for other people's to support them, chasing each other's tails so that we never found our hidden magnificence to shift our reality from within, which gives you constant power to shift anything more in your life. Once you learn that, you can shift anything once you recognize that power that you have within you to change your thoughts, change your neuron paths, have a repeat going on in your head of how amazing you are instead of how stupid and dumb you are, or how you can achieve anything instead of, oh, I'll never be able to do this because someone else is better than me, or I'm never going to be good enough at this, or that person over there needs to tell me how to do this because I'll never figure it out myself. There's so much more within you. There's a magnificence. There's keys within you that are going to show you how to move along. But you can't access those keys until you start coming from absolute love for yourself first. I'm not saying that, people are like out there on the Facebook going, I'm so sick of people saying, love yourself, and then everything will be fine. Well, no, there's many, many different parts of yourself. So you could love yourself in one aspect and still have a problem in another. And this is why it's not a linear story. This is something that we constantly move in and out of. And so there might be a fear over here of supporting yourself financially. And then over here, you don't have any fear when it comes to the spiritual guidance of connecting to your soul and getting wisdom. Or it could be that, your fear over here of leaving a partner that you thought was, that you loved. And then over here, you've got you're really feeling good and really supported about who you are. So it's not a linear story. So this is a progressive story, and that's why the energies, that's telling me this is why the energies come in and out, in and out, in and out. And each energy that comes in is just love, but it affects people in their own self, in their own psyche, in their own life in different levels, because that's what they're up to next. That's the level that they've peeled away before, and so they're raw for the next level to be showing up. And so you'll see some people are using that love frequency to shift this story, and then others are using it to shift this story. This is not linear, although the love vibration that's been sent to Earth to awaken us into our wholeness is pretty much the same love vibration. It's funny because we constantly think it has to be a different vibration. It is upping itself. It's upping itself. It is getting more intense is what I was trying to say. It is getting more intense as we go along. And that means the ones that haven't done any work, it's really going to start to hit them big time. And it's getting more intense so that it wakens them up, because they were so dark and so deep within the program of only looking outside themselves that they need to have that more intense pouring of love. And also that's also reflecting the fact that many of us that have done the work around the world, and there's many pockets of us that have, are upping the game for humanity's consciousness to soak in more love, because we're wanting it. We know where it goes. We know that if we do the work, if we, you know, we might end up crying in our bedrooms for a while and feeling really bad about ourselves, or however you want to do it. You're going out there and, you know, punch in a punching bag, or whatever you want to do to get yourself, your emotions shaken up. We might have to go through all of that, but we know what's on the other side. The other side is self-empowerment, alignment with who we truly are, supporting who we are. Yeah. See if there's any others. Life is not supposed to be a race. There's so much we're missing by trying to reach goals, that when we reach them, we jump towards another goal. It's the journey, not the end result, because in the end, we all pass over. And if we don't stop to smell the roses, we miss the moments that gift us this amazing life. They brought that up last week too, when they were showing me them looking at humanity and then going, man, if I was there, I would so be enjoying this, even the weird things, like to that, like things that we go, you know, cars, that's bad. It's, you know, producing whatever, or going to the shops and picking, you know, groceries off that's not going to happen again. These things are going to break up. Those big corporations are all going to break up. This is the end of that cycle. If then any sort of corporation, if it's not coming from the heart within, that bleeds out love for the rest of the world, it's going to break up. And most corporations aren't. Most corporations are in it for themselves and their own gain. And it's a process, just like it's a process within us and how we're kind of moving along. You know, it's not like, you know, when we started this journey a few years or many decades ago, whatever it was, we thought it would be like, yay, quick. Oh, I know where I'm going now. Boom. Nah. It's like in and out, in and out, in and out. Oh my God, when's it going to stop? That sort of thing. But then we slowly start to see the hidden gems coming out from those things that we did shift, those things within ourselves that we have shifted. And each and every one of us has shifted different things. So then we can kind of show each other how we shifted them. But then we have to have faith and trust within ourselves to be able to communicate with others, and go out locally and all that sort of stuff, which is what I've just started to do, is to go out locally. Because then it's like one-on-one people. Also, I want to branch this out to the world. So my game is like, I want to be a channeler around the world in the end. And I also want to make a beautiful movie. So there's two things I want to do in my life. And like, have those goals that you set for yourself, even if they seem like absolutely crazy, ridiculous. But if you chip away at them one step at a time, it's amazing what you can create. They're bringing me to a story that's a random story that I saw on the news, actually, years and years ago when I used to watch the news, and I mean a long time ago. But they had this really kind of good feel story, and it was this old guy, and they went into his shed, and he had made this world out of matchsticks. And they said to him, how did you make all of this? It's incredible. Like, it was incredible. And he said, just every day I did something towards that goal. Even if it was that I was feeling really sick, I did one thing towards it. Even if it was to imagine the next step, every day he did something towards that goal. And so if we do that, we set ourselves up for that, and we just every day we chip along, even if it is like today I did the shadow work and I'm crying in my bed. But boy, do I feel a lot lighter now that I see where I gave my power away. I mean, every day you chip away and you move towards that goal. And one of my biggest goals is to have absolute peace of mind, because when they took me into those higher frequencies and I got to be in the potential of humanity, the first thing I noticed was my mind was completely still. I didn't have the monkey chatter anymore. I was in the moment. Another thing that they're bringing through, that story is bringing through. So, you know how as we're going in and out of all of these stories at the moment, and we're like pulling back, and then we're going, it's like a roller coaster. It's quite intense, can be quite intense, especially as you get into the higher frequencies and you still got something of fear, that fear base that you're holding on to, which most of us will, because it's going to constantly come up until it's completely gone. And then you are in a higher frequency and you don't have any fear. So you totally take many, many, many risks. But also they said what these intense energies and how they're coming, like the love frequencies that's coming at the moment, pouting from the sun and the galactic central galaxy and so forth, from source energy and from humanity's consciousness. The more intense they get, the more quicker, it's like a quickening that happens, because it's quickening us to living more and more and more in the moment. All of a sudden, I'm not thinking too much into the future anymore. I'm not thinking, like, my whole life has been turned upside down. Like it's like all of my material, my material world, my emotional world, my every world has been thrown up in the air. And I've just gone, come back to self, love who I am, keep on moving forward from that point of view. And they said that because that's happening, what it's doing is it's shifting us from predicting what the future is by our logical mind now. And our logical mind's going, I don't know where this is going to go anymore. So our logical mind has to take a back seat. And it's like, well, everything, I know I'm not allowed to grab from the past, because if I grab from the past, I'm just going to repeat the same crap that happened in the past. So that kind of gets shorter. And so the future in our minds gets shorter and the past gets shorter. And then we slowly, it's like this intensity is bringing us into absolute present moment. And now we're like, okay, well, I don't know. My logical mind's still like, if I go into it, it's literally afraid. Like, it's literally going, oh my God, what the frick is going to happen? If I ever go into it, it's quite a frightening feeling. But the only way that I can navigate through this is to completely stay present and just go, well, what do I feel like right now? How am I feeling right now? Moving with that. And it's training me to be more in sync with that future earth that they took me to, where my mind was completely still, because it was so much in the present moment. And this is where the gifts come in, because when you're in present moment, everything exists and nothing exists at the same time. And if that's the case, it's only you and your intention. Just like in quantum physics, the observer that looks out into the world creates their world. But if you're coming from your heart and your soul, and oh my God, my soul knows so much more, look how much more you can create. Look how much more you can carve. So you start to move through life without fear. There's no more fear anymore. So yeah, this whole quickening of these love frequencies, intensity of them that's coming through us, is bringing our minds into stillness, into no longer being projecting into the future of grabbing from the past. It's just being present. And this is where we're at right now. And they're calling it the void. They keep saying to me, it's like a void, because you haven't quite yet mastered your imagination and put enough solidness behind that to say that will come true, that is an absolute. But you haven't quite let go of the past and the future completely. So you still have these bouts of fearness coming in, and then everyone starts to reflect that. And so you're wavering back and forth, which is bringing you into a void of, well, I know I'm on the right path, but there's almost like a apprehension. I wouldn't call it anxiety, but it's like an apprehension or a feeling of, oh, I don't know what's going to happen next. I really don't know what's going to happen next. I don't know what's going to happen next with anything in my life now. Like, it's so up in the air. But they're telling me that's the best place to be that's the only place to be. If you have reached that goal of now taking a step towards really truly creating your own reality from your heart and from your soul. That's the reason why they're saying this is the place to be, is because we have to go through a threshold. And that threshold is to feel this it does feel vulnerable in that space, because you're going from one program, letting go of a program that never served you anyway, and then bringing in an unknown aspect of yourself that you haven't been in touch with, and trusting that and putting as much trust under that as what you did, your logical mind that you were programmed to trust, only to trust. So when you start to do that, when you're learning to trust yourself as a whole person, you're putting your logical mind in its place, telling it to shush when it comes to creating your reality, but also using it for the tools that it has on how to navigate this material world. You know, what dot the I's and cross the T's and sign here and ring, how to use phones, how to use computers, all that sort of stuff. But then also allowing the freedom to explore new gifts coming along, that the tools that were operating from the logical mind, in other words, computers, telephones, and all that, are going to be disposed of, because they were always set up to give someone else power. Like telephone is always set up to give someone else power. The TVs now, you know, they have the cameras and everything, and someone else can be in power or in charge of you or whatever, and blah, blah. It's always outside of you. So when we take our power back, we have to come from within us, which means that we have to gain access to telepathy, to the abilities to even teleport and so forth as we go along, whether it be, but not through fear. There's no fear here when it comes to that, because we now know it's part of our authentic self, that it's our soul's lineage, our soul's knowing of where we've come from in the past, and that there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing to fear, because it's all created through love. It's created through the response of being one with source energy, that you are source energy. And what source energy is? Creator. It's magnificence, creator of all things, right? And if you have it within your imagination, then that absolutely can happen within you as well, because you can't imagine something that you can't imagine a gift like telepathy, telekinesis, and all those sort of things, remote viewing, dream predictions, reaching in and finding out where your energy is actually aligning to. That's a dream prediction. And so forth. You can't reach those sort of places unless you've become more in tune or in love with who you are, and that with source energy, who has all of those gifts anyway there, and has gifted you that through the fact that you have a pineal gland, right? Your pineal gland is your soul's access, and it has these beautiful crystals within it that can manifest. The word that they're trying to use, I don't know it. It's like collaborate, or another word that they were trying to use. Doesn't matter. I'll use that word. I stopped myself because I don't know that word. Sorry, yeah. And those crystals will then align with the frequencies that are in your pineal gland that you want to attain these gifts from. And so you end up allowing your soul to share with you what kind of frequency match you need to be in to be telepathic, to be able to, move things with your mind and so forth. And they're saying this is a generational thing. Yes, absolutely, 100%. It can happen to you in this lifetime, because if you've cleared yourself enough, coming from your heart, aligning with your soul's mission and all of that. Also, they're showing me contact that can be made with certain people that are ready to explore that. So they might actually have visitations and remember them, where they might have had visitations in the past and not remembered them. And it's like they're just going to a kind of a school. They might start dreaming of going to a school where there's higher frequency beings, and they're teaching them how to be telekinetic and telepathic. I know I've certainly had those dreams. But then it's going to go one step more, where you actually align with those people, those beings outside of yourself, to gift you an understanding or a frequency alignment that you have that gift as well. But you can't reach those gifts unless you've learned to move through your emotions and purge the ones that are keeping you in victimization, because you need to feel. You need to learn to feel. And you can't learn to feel if you've shut your emotions off, right? So if you've just gone, there's emotion I don't want to feel, that could be when you actually feel into it, giving you the gift of how to connect more. So yeah, it all goes together. It all happens together. Where you're crossing this threshold or this veil, and then you're finally like, oh my God, I can see way more within myself than what I did in the past. And little steps, right? Sometimes we'll go, wow, that's so beautiful. Oh my God, do I really deserve this? And shut the veil again, and then feel into the, oh, that feels terrible. Oh my God, all my friends are dropping away again. And what's going on? And then you go, okay, I'm going to open the veil again. Take a deep breath, and then, be in the present moment with it, not worry, not come from your worrying mind. And your worrying mind is that program that's been taught to worry by those that wanted you in that limited space of worry and concern. If you are worried, you then look outside yourself for someone else to help you, because you're not trusting who you are. So yeah, it's not altogether an easy process, but it's going to be so much worth it in the end as we go along, because we're going to find out way more about each other and ourselves, what we can actually do with this world, on this planet, in this physical world. And remember, 3D and 5D, what we're doing is we're infusing our love, or our soul, aligning with our soul into the 3D, so that there's nothing wrong with the physical world. This is just an extra playground for source energy to play in. It's not in the etheric world where everything, you just go and it dissipates into energy, right? That's the fifth and higher dimensions, gone. And then you're like, there's no rubbish here. But there's nothing wrong with the physical world. It's just that because we've only been coming from a very unbalanced, no connection society, we didn't have the compassion or the feel to realize that tree doesn't want to be chopped down, or so forth. But then when we are in alignment, we're no longer seeking gadgets to make ourselves feel better. This is why even the wealthiest people can still feel a hole within them. They can still feel this lack of within them, even though they're the wealthiest people. It's because they haven't found that support. There's certain supports within themselves that they haven't found in themselves. They've mastered the abundance, but they haven't with this and that and this. There's abundance is only one state of mind, and if it's only a logical mind, and you not only got there through grasping and standing on top of other people to get to where you want to go, then you have to then deal with all that guilt that you did that, because you never came at it from compassion and alignment and synchronicity, if that's a word. with those that are coming from their heart. Yeah, and there's all that's happening. Hey, Deb, the device ran out. Okay. Yeah, we're all conditioned to grow up and make money rather than just wake up, feel our breath of a new day and think, what can I create today? What can I feed my body and soul? Yes, Mona, absolutely. And hi, Michelle. Good to see you. Yeah, so there's just huge amounts of deprogramming that's happening. But when you deprogram one thing, and then you're left with a space within your mind, and you do feel this freedom because that fear has fallen away. So when a fear falls away, all of a sudden we have no resistance to moving ahead with our plans and where we want to really go. Like, I have no fear now of channeling locally in front of people. I have no fear of channeling like a couple of years ago when I started doing the lives. Lots of fear, but I don't have any fear now. And so where can I go with this? It's a lot further, that sort of thing. If something turns up, I'll absolutely say yes to it. Let's put it that way. I'll pull a couple of cards and see what the energies are doing through the cards and the story that they bring up. Sometimes it's just confirmation through the cards as well, or a story that I've missed. Okay, so we do have a few that's fallen out. So this is the hard yards at the moment. 10 of Wands, like a lot that we're carrying at the moment too, because it is a roller coaster ride and it's tiring. And I think I said that at the beginning. You might feel exhausted from all of this. We have the Four of Pentacles, but it was in reverse. So the Four of Pentacles is hoarding and thinking that that's the only way that you can save money, which, understand if you put money aside in your account and all that sort of stuff. But a person that's truly hoarding is not freely giving. So this is a card of don't forget, energy goes where energy flows, they're saying. Energy goes where energy flows. So if you are wanting to become more abundant in your life, then allow it to flow so that you're telling the universe, I have enough to give to others. I have enough to share. I have enough to, it's the misery that keeps us bound to not trusting the universe is going to fill our cup again. And so we keep seeing ourselves as poor. Interesting lesson there. There's a couple of more that's come out. We have the Fool and the Devil together. A Fool and the Devil. So the Fool is taking a leap of faith into the unknown and trusting the universe is going to catch you because you know who you are when you take that leap of faith. And the Devil is all about, bounded to certain programs and tied up and not feeling like you can move and feeling like someone else is in control of you. We're taking our power back by becoming the Fool. So this is literally, we're taking our power back by becoming the Fool and taking that risk into that different frequency. They're showing me somebody who has a chain around their wrist. And then the only way that they could get out of it is to make the decision to jump. And then that literally allows their hand to slip through the chain so that they can take the leap. But if they're sitting there looking at the chain too much and they're not taking, they can see that they could take a leap of faith over there, but they're looking at that chain. and they're like, I'm never going to be able to leap because my hand will get stuck and then I will end up hurting myself. That story, they want us to let go of the poor man's story, of the controlled story, of the lack of story, so that we can come into our rightful freedom. Yeah. And then we have the Four of Chalice, and we have the Temperance in reverse. So Four of Chalice. There's an unknown, the Four of Chalice is pretty much a gift wanting to be offered to you, but are you actually seeing it? Are you actually taking advantage of it? Or are you just watching some whimsical story over here and wishing a pipeline story where there's a gift already been gifted to you? So there could be something going on there and Temperance in reverse. So finding balance with the mind self. This is someone that's needing to find balance. My head is literally gone really whoa. So I don't even feel very present at the moment. It's interesting. I don't know what's going on there. But it's like a clouded mind, and this person is holding out this cup from a cloud, like to uncloud our mind, to unclutter who we are, to be more grounded within ourselves, to step through this world with balance. Something to do with that, and not be so, whoa, I don't know where I'm at. Yeah, I don't even know if I'm making much sense at the moment because I really feel a bit woozy. I might have to cut it short for today. It could be also because I did hurt my back and my spine is a little bit at the moment. Still healing from that. I helped lift a dryer off a washing machine. I was holding it the wrong way. And I ended up hurting my back. It literally went, I heard it go pop. Oh. So yeah, I'm learning to support who I am right here, right now. And that's why that's in reflection happened to me. Yeah, but in any case, there is definitely some massive things happening at the moment, and big changes coming our way. Please don't get caught in the rat race of the world, outside world, trying to pull you back into fear, trying to pull you back into guilt, hating each other, that sort of thing. Yes, everyone's going through their own stuff. Yes, you still have to make sure that you protect yourself enough not to get, infiltrated by somebody else's crap and all of that sort of stuff. But remind yourself that they too are still trying to figure themselves out as well. We all are at this point. And you could be the one that carves the first path. And that means you're going to feel, when you get up to that stage of feeling really enlightened by yourself and starting to move through to your what you want to create, you might feel completely alone there because the other people still haven't risen their vibration up to yours. So it can be like oh yay, everyone's with me. Oh my God, I'm on my own again. Okay. And then everyone's with me. It's kind of like that as well. Oh my God. And they also were bringing up through the week, they just reminded me before I go of these humanity's consciousness, like in reflection, they were like birds that were told never to fly. And so if you had a whole bunch of birds there and they had wings, right? And they were programmed to never fly, then they're all walking around knowing that there's more to them than what they've been taught. And what happens is that they get sore feet. They end up, trying to hurt each other and they're trying to clamber up to the top of something because they know that they should be doing something else. But now that there's a few of us that are starting to fly and teach others that we can actually get out of the program of limited, the limited victimized program, then others will start to find their wings. And so be it, because it's already within each and every one of us. Each and every person that you meet, whether they are, the worst person that you've known or whatever, has the ability to be able to step out of the program of limitation and be able to explore way more of their reality of what they want to actually create. And so if you can, they said that to me because they wanted me to share it, as in, if you can imagine it like that, it doesn't seem so judgmental against everybody. We've all been shut in this very narrow space where we're not allowed to fly, and taught that if we do try to fly, then we will get hurt. If we do try to be telepathic, we'll get hurt. You can see it in all the movies, and that when they have somebody that's reached the epiphany of, learning, or all of a sudden having a gift of something, and then they end up getting in trouble because they have that gift, or or they turn into the villains or whatever it is. It's in the movies heaps where people who have, become telepathic and, they're the ones we've got to fear, and they're the ones we've got to be afraid of, and all that sort of stuff. Where really it's just us learning to use our wings again, like those birds that were trapped, and it was already there. We already have them. It's already within us. We're just finding out about it. Anyway, I'll leave it there, guys. I love you heaps. Until next Tuesday or before, I don't know. Someone did suggest to me to do maybe a live or something at nighttime or another time so that they could actually catch me live. So I might look into that, as seeing how I feel. It's pretty crazy at the moment, and I really want my back to heal a bit more. So I love you guys heaps anyways. Until next time. Bye.